Here at we're starting here at 4:30 on Tuesday, February 3rd, and we'll call the meeting to order here. I'd like to remind everyone that the meeting is being live streamed to the public and recorded in accordance with the council procedural bylaws. And do we got any remarks here today for any announcements? Councillor McNeil?
Good afternoon. Thank you. Just a reminder, this coming weekend is the Cold Bones Fest, which is taking place February 6th through to the 8th, and tickets are available at coldbonesfest.com, and the event is taking place in beautiful downtown Drumheller.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Anything else? Councillor Zariski?
Yeah, the Royal Tyrrell Museum Cooperating Society just wants to invite everyone to their speaker series, which is starting up this week. The speaker series is basically a lecture series that hosts some of the top scientists in the world, literally. They come to the Royal Tyrrell Museum to study, and they do a presentation. These presentations go Thursdays at 11 a.m. In the Royal Tyrrell Museum Theater, and they are free of charge to everyone. And I found them to be very, very interesting. So anyone interested in coming to the Royal Tyrrell Museum on Thursdays at 11 a.m. is very welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Zaritsky. Anybody else? Councillor Maddie?
So Monday, February 16th is Family Day in Alberta, and we invite you to bring your family and friends to a tech-free, activity-filled day where you can connect through games, fun, and offline experiences. Family Day Unplugged is an annual all-ages event proudly brought to you by the town of Drumheller, Drumheller Family and Community Support Services, the Drumheller Public Library, and the Drumheller Dragons Junior A Hockey Club. You can visit drumheller.ca for more details.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Anything else? Anybody? Nothing there. All right. Any additions or anything for the agenda for today? Anybody got anything else? No additions. Nothing there. All right. Can we get a motion for this agenda to be picked up? Okay. Councillor Kalaffa. Thank you.
I'll move the council adopt the agenda for the February 3rd, 2026 regular meeting as presented.
Thank you. Councillor Miller, thanks for you seconding it. All in favor? Say aye. All right, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, our minutes adoption. Can I get someone to adopt the minutes from our January 13 committee of whole meeting? Councillor Hardy.
I move that council approves the minutes for the January 13th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting as presented.
Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor McNeil. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. All right, and then our municipal boards, our council boards and meetings. One more? Oh, we got another set of minutes here from our regular council meeting from January 20th, 26. Can I get someone to accept them? Councillor Miller.
I move that council approves the minutes for January 2026 regular council meeting as presented.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hanson. Okay, thank you. And all in favor? Okay, looks like it's carried. Okay. All right, so that is done. Now we're back to our board. Are we at our boards?
Yes.
What was that? Blip, blip. Yeah. Okay, so if we can get our 5.1, our Municipal Planning Commission. Councillor Hardy.
I move that council accept the Municipal Planning Commission meeting minutes for the December 4th, 2025 regular meeting as information.
Thank you, Councillor Hardy. Can I get a seconder? Okay, Councillor Hanson, thank you. All in favor? Okay, it's carried. All right, thanks for that. Now. Okay, now our Drumheller Public Library. Looks like we got a bunch of these to go through, so can I get someone to make a motion? Thank you, Councillor McNeil.
Thank you. I move that council accepts the Drumheller Public Library Board meeting minutes for December 4th, 2025, regular meeting as information.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hanson, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Okay, looks like it's carried. Thank you. All right, so the next one is our Palliser Regional Municipal Services now. So this will be the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Can I get, okay, Councillor Zaritsky, thank you.
Yeah, I move that council accepts the Palliser Regional Municipal Services meeting minutes for the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting and November 28th, 2024 annual general meeting as information.
Thank you, Councillor Zaritsky. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Miller. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. All right. What do we got now? We got our Office of the CAO. Okay, Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the CAO office is here. We have our managers teams here to present to council our Q4 2025 report. So this encompasses all of our activities from October 1st to December 31st, 2025. And this involves our Legislative Services Department, our Information Services Department, Communications, Economic Development, Planning and Development, and Human Resources. So with that, I will invite our first manager up, Mr. Mitch Visser.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell.
One last thing I'll mention is that after each branch, if council has any questions, please feel free to ask questions along the way. We won't require a motion until all of the presentations are complete, and then we will request a motion accepting our report as information. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Mitchell Visser. I'm manager of Legislative Services. First off, I want to apologize in advance. I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound a little stuffy, my apologies. As well, I apologize to the person who's coming after me, who will inevitably be sick. Excuse me. So I'll start off with an overview of the council activity. At the last quarterly report, I gave a more in-depth overview of everything and the meaning of all these different categories. I'll have a shorter presentation this time, as you would have heard some of those explanations at the Q3 meeting. I'll start off with meetings. As you can see, on the regular council meeting, we had 7 meetings in Q4, 1 committee of the whole, and 2 special meetings for a total of 10 meetings in Q4. We had some additional special meetings to resolve some of the budget meetings that we had later in the quarter. We also had 120 motions. 67 of those were actionable motions, and 53 were procedural. Pardon me. Actionable being ones that is a decision or action of council, and procedural being those which are again more procedural, self-explanatory, opening, closing a meeting, etc., or accepting minutes. Moving on to public participation, we had 1 public hearing in Q4. We had 2 delegations, 4 access to information requests, 2 board appointments, and 8 letters of support. And for the quarter, and you can see the total year to date on the right for 2024 and 2025. In Q4, we had a total of 8 bylaws that were completed. And included is this a breakdown of the different bylaws. So we had some 12.5% from emergency protective services, 12.5% from corporate services, 12.5% from the office of the CIO, and 62.5% regarding land designation. So these are primarily related to the flood program and are bylaws that remove municipal reserves, designate land as public utility lots, or designate environmental reserves, pardon me. And on the right, you can see the 2024 and 2025 annual totals. In 2024, we had quite a considerable amount of bylaws regarding land. But 2025 we had quite a bit as well, as you can see. So, on the next slide, we have our policies. So we have our 2024 on the left, and then we have 2025 on the right. There was quite a considerable amount of policies in 2024, mostly regarding updates to our health and safety program, which it was in prior to a health and safety audit. We did a lot of updating to our health and safety program, which can be reflected in these policy numbers. And I should also point out there's 2 breakdowns of the policies. So there's council policies, which are approved by council, and administrative policies, which are approved by the CIO. And you can see we had 27 administrative policies in 2024. And again, the majority of those relate to health and safety and some other HR related policies. Moving into our projects, these are projects that are main focus for 2025 and 2026. So first up, we have the municipal election. The municipal election is primarily finished as we have a newly elected council who's in front of me right now. So we have some last minute tasks which we want to follow up on. So part of what we want to do to wrap up the municipal election project is we want to create a 2025 municipal election report to provide an overlay of our successes and maybe our things we can improve on for the next election. We want to make sure all our candidate financial statements are posted prior to March 31st. We want to revise our website and update our information. We want to review our election bylaw, election signage bylaw when it's fresh in our minds and make sure it's ready for the next election cycle. And we have some other miscellaneous 2029 election prep that we need to prepare for. But aside from that, we're pretty close to wrapping this project up. Next, we have municipal legislation review. So the intent of the legislation review is to go through all of our bylaws and policies and do a comprehensive audit by department to identify bylaws and policies that need to be updated. As mentioned previously, we do have quite a few that are older that need to be revised. The intention was to hire a summer student this year and work on this project. They got caught up with some other projects, including assisting quite significantly with the municipal election. And so this has just been pushed into 2026. Next, we have records management. As discussed in the previous one, we have done quite a lot of work on creating a records retention and disposition bylaw. Our next stage in this project is to perform some limited SharePoint migration. We're going to start with one of the departments and use that department as a pilot to migrate the rest of the departments into SharePoint. We're hoping to do this by June 1st, 2026, and then the rest of the dates of the projects you can see below. Moving on, this is new. The Access to Information Protection and Privacy Act was passed in the previous summer, 2025. One of the mandates of those acts was that the municipality must create a privacy management program by June 11th, 2026. So we're currently working on that. That's going to be a major focus of legislative services over the next couple months. Moving on to IT services. These are the amount of patches that we did in Q4 2025 with the corresponding Q3, Q2, and Q1. We also have the amount of IT support tickets that were opened and closed and the average resolution time. As you can see, there's been a significant improvement in the resolution time throughout the year. And then lastly, some of the major projects that are going on in information technology. So one of the major projects was to upgrade all our Windows 11s OS operating system. So what we're doing, that is mostly complete. We've also started a new password management pilot. Currently, we're collecting feedback from staff on the pilot project, and are going to follow up with them to see if we're going to proceed. We're also working on a new HR offboarding and onboarding system. We're replacing our firewall, and we're also replacing our licenses for our servers. And that is my report. Thank you very much.
Councillor McNeil, do you have a question?
Hey, I don't have so much a question, and thank you very much for the report. I just noted, and I think it's important for the record, that I do know also in the fourth quarter that council had held 2 budget meetings in November, and those weren't listed in the listing of meetings.
Yeah, so we actually, those meetings were included as part of the regular council meetings. So we approved them at the organizational meeting. So you actually don't see them broken out there, but I believe we had 2 which were considered regular council meetings, and then another 2, if I'm not mistaken, which were special council meetings. Which is, yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's not really shown there, but there was more meetings for budgeting, and significantly more than what has been done in the past for budget discussion.
Thank you.
Any other questions for him? Thank you, Mr. Visser.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Erica Crocker, and I'm the Communications Officer for the Town of Drumheller. So before you, we've got our fourth quarter report for communications with some statistical information in our communication stats here. So in the fourth quarter, we've had 15 website posts, so comparative to 18 in the previous year's fourth quarter, as well as 95 year to date. So very busy in the website communications era. So included in the quarter 4, we have 2 media releases and 8 council highlights. 174 social media posts compared to 307 in quarter 4. Year to date, that is 1,067 social media posts on the Town of Drumheller accounts. 6 media relations events, so 42 year to date. And we've activated a new development permit notification on drumheller.ca, so the approved notification permits through the MPC meetings now are housed on drumheller.ca for improving our ease of access for information. For customer service, we had 761 direct messages through our social media, and our year to date is just shy of 3,000. So we have had an increase of posting on behalf of the RCMP, which our staff sergeant did mention collaboration in their previous report where they were before council. And just as a point of professional development, I have recently achieved my certification in public participation through the IAP2 program. For public communications, last quarter, you can see it's a bit of a different spread from quarter 3, where it was very much a recreation and community services communications activation. So historically, very busy for recreation. There's lots of amazing activities that come through both the Badlands Community Facility, the Drumheller Aquaplex, and our Memorial Arena. And we'll expand a little bit more of that on the next slide. So from October to December, it's very much recreation with all the amazing things that they have to offer. So this past quarter, we had 30 communications activations, 213 in total for the year. For the ones that were at least tracked, because sometimes we move quickly and some do fall through the tracks in terms of our tracking system. And just as a point of note, these are very rarely are they ever one channel requests that often can take approximately 3 weeks to design the deliverables, the copy, the turning process to the point of publishing. So in our major marketing campaigns, again, a very recreation focused quarter. We saw Festival of Trees, the Aquaplex's 50th birthday party, the 2026 Winter Spring Registered Programs, holiday rentals at the BCF, and the Recreation Membership Drive. Great celebratory moment that the 2026 registered programs for the session 1 through the Badlands Community Facility sold out of their spots. Some of their programs had wait lists, which is always a fantastic thing to see the community responding to the programs that they're offering. Here's some artwork of some of the communications and marketing initiatives last quarter. And before you, you've got drumheller.ca website statistics. So our top pages in the fourth quarter was our news page, Badlands Community Facility, municipal elections, the unofficial results, as well as careers. You'll see a really enormous spike there on October 20th and 21st. There is a reason for that, as I'm sure you can all appreciate. The municipal elections and the notifications were published during that time. And then there's a little spike there on November 18th, and that was when we published your council profiles on drumheller.ca. So comparatively to 2024, our top pages were the BCF, Drumheller Aquaplex, careers, our contact us page, so to get a hold of staff, mayor and council, as well as our swimming schedule. So you can see smaller spikes just as a frequency of posting and the information that was going on at the time. But the October 15th spike is due to a marketing campaign for the BCF, as well as a kickoff for the co-ed recreation tournaments that were being programmed at the time. So similarly, as Mr. Visser had said, our reports are a little bit smaller this go around as we had gone into great depth of our departmental ongoings and those sorts of details. So I open the floor to questions. Thank you. Oh no. Please help. So on the previous slide, as it's loading here, you'll see the social media statistics across the town of Drumheller profiles. We had a number of posts through the fourth quarter, and comparatively so we've got just over 630,000 views on our posts compared to 207,000. Our reach is about the same. Interactions certainly increased, and a lot of that is due to the election activity that was going on. And the click-through ratio, similar definition to that spike in activity. So through year to date, we're looking at 2.8 million in views, reach at 2.25, interactions just shy of 20,000, and the click-through 9.3 thousand. So now I will open the floor to questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah. Ms. Crocker, any questions from anybody? Councillor McNeil?
I'm just curious, just in terms of if you have any statistics for the live streaming of the council meetings and any idea in terms of the YouTube views of the council meetings afterwards?
Through the chair to Councillor McNeil, our live stream during the scheduled live stream, it's pretty limited, anywhere between 1 to 5 viewers. One of them is always a redundancy to ensure that the audio is working. However, the playback after it's published is pretty high because live stream is, you can appreciate, is on demand. So anyone who's interested in the ongoings in council may not be experiencing them live, but are going back and sourcing it out after the fact. So the information certainly is getting out there, and we do get views. So
Great, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else? Thank you for that information. It was all good.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Mine.
Thank you, Council and Your Worship. My name is Reg Johnston. I'm the Manager of Economic Development, and I'm going to present to you some of the statistics from economic development, planning development. So the first section that I would report on is the amount of outreach we're doing. New businesses, I apologize. We had 6 new businesses in the quarter and 24 total for year to date for 2025, which is, 1 or 2 off from last year. So in line with a good year. On the municipal land sales, we had 3 land sales finalized in the quarter and 10 to date. So that's the most land sales that I have seen since I've been at the organization. From a transaction perspective, in 1 year, we had 1 close from Q2 in the last quarter, and 2 that had offers in Q3 that we finalized and lifted conditions and closed. And then it's a mix of residential and industrial lands within those deals. Of the 10 deals that we had this year, 4 were industrial, so that's a really good year for us. And then sorry. Yeah, great. So our outreach this quarter was 30 groups that we talked to. We like to try and strike a balance between how much investment attraction, which is companies outside of the valley that we talk to, versus how many local companies we talk to. So we try and do 20-80-ish, and we've achieved that pretty close this quarter. As you can see, the other quarters for the year are at the bottom in the table, and we talked to 190 different businesses this year, which is a very good year. And then we were also asked to report the quality of our outreach. So obviously the in-person outreach is the best. We had a really good quarter last year for in-person, but we still had a good quarter this year. And then we try and use Teams from there. And after that, we do a lot of phone calls and emails. But still a high quality mix for outreach this year or this quarter. And then 27% of our interactions this quarter were with developers, and so that's aligned well with our housing strategy because we want to talk to developers. Just overall administrative activity, we did some good things on the marketing side of things. So we did some background research on a potential magazine article for Maclean's. We also had council's help with sending a support letter to Calgary Economic Development on the film side of things. Applied for a grant, so that's NREDS, and it's 50% matching if we win it and are successful for the development of our economic development strategy this year. We also did an internal safety codes audit, which is in the quarter, which is quite a bit of work. And then we welcome 2 new members from council on our Municipal Planning Commission. Off to the side, you'll see the film activity that we had in the quarter was pretty low. We had 2 leads that did not proceed, but year to date, just to help you read that, we had 6 permits that we issued and 8 that did not proceed. So we worked on 14 different leads in the year. And then the current leads, that was the carryover count for each quarter. So if we had one start in Q1 but did not figure out if they were going to proceed until Q2, then that would be the carry forward that we used. And yeah, a pretty good year in film. This is our development permits, so that we process, and again, pretty in line with last year. Q4 was 20. We do roughly 100 permits on the development side of things per year. And then you can see our compliance certificates. So those are the things that impact residential retail sales of houses. So folks send us a real property report and we see if it matches against the land use bylaw. And then you can see we've done quite a bit of extra work on the enforcement side of things this year relative to last year. And we did 3 in the quarter. this is a good distribution of where the development permits are coming from relative to our land use districts. So, more than half of the development permits are coming from the residential side of things. But it just gives you a feel for what types of, where the permits are coming from a land use district perspective. So there is some good activity in the downtown and the employment district, but the majority is residential. And then this will give you a feel for the discretionary versus permitted use with conditions and variance. So the discretionary uses would be the ones that would head to the Municipal Planning Commission as an example. And the permitted uses would be the ones that our development officer can process. An update on some of the incentives we use. So total of 14 businesses did not have to pay for the development permits this year. And we use bylaw 1918 to do that. And then we also have a demolition incentive that we use, and one residential person took advantage of that program this year. This is our safety codes permitting activity. So this is in relation to the Safety Codes Act as opposed to our land use bylaw. As you can see, we had a little less on the building side of things compared to last year. Last year was a record year though. We had more permits last year than we had in the previous 5 years. So as you can see on the right side of the slide, I showed you the values of the construction within each year. So even though we were, just a few off from last year, our values are pretty close with respect to the amount of construction in town. So still a good year. And then electrical, we had a slight edge this year compared to last year, and 33 in the quarter. Gas, pretty close. And then at the bottom, you will see our total number of permits that we processed in the year in the department. So quite a few. So we're busy, and there's lots of work being done in town. Also on the permitting side of things, we take care of the short-term rentals. The majority of this permitting happens in the first quarter of the year. So we had 64 total in 2025. Municipal Planning Commission meetings, we had 3 in the quarter and then 14 in total for the year. 2 subdivisions applications in Q4 and 3 in total for the year. And none were approved in Q4 on the subdivision side of things, and 1 was approved this year. That is all the information to provide on the economic development side of things, but I wait your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Councilor Ziski.
Yeah, thank you for the report. Lots of good stuff going on in Drumheller. Just a couple of questions. Firstly, when the town sells a piece of property, is there not a time limit or some kind of a stipulation that they must do something with that property in a certain amount of time? What is that?
Yeah, so we use caveats within our purchasing agreements, and then, or sorry, conditions in our purchasing agreements that stop people from speculating and just purchasing property and sitting on it. And then we put a caveat on title that allows us to purchase the land back if the building doesn't occur. So that's how we manage it.
Yeah, so that being said, I guess I look at the old hospital site. I mean, we sold that a couple of years ago, I think, and nothing's been built on it. The old consortium site, we sold that, and nothing. The old Elks building site. I'm just wondering, and maybe these things have to be discussed in camera. I don't know, but I'm just wondering. It seems like we've sold these quite a while ago, and there hasn't really been any activity on them yet, and I guess I'm not in the loop. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably best to go on camera if we wanted to talk about individual sites, but with respect to the those two locations they actually sold this year, both the old hospital and the consortium site, and so we're quite excited about what could become of those. And but you're right, the old plaza actually sold, I think, last year or the year before. So the proponent has some stuff online that's public information, but yeah, um, we could probably do more updates in camera.
Yeah, one last comment. We seem to have a lot of lots, residential lots, infill lots in town that sit for years. And I'm just wondering, are we looking at anything, any kind of incentive and or penalty for, you know, doing something with these lots? I mean, literally, some of these lots should be developed. You know, they're perfectly suitable for housing. They're serviced, whatever. But they literally sit for years. Is there anything we're thinking of, or we could do eventually to get those moving and get something built on those?
Well, we've got our incentive. Thank you for the opportunity to mention our residential incentive program. So we take 100% off of the municipal portion of tax if council okays it for the first year, and 75% the second year, 50 off the third, and 25 off the fourth year, to help developers, to help induce and incent development on the residential side of things. So we've seen some uptake in that. But yeah, we would need council direction to do something on the other side. But we, yeah, we are doing our best to incent development.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
Thank you for the presentation, and it looks like it was a very positive year. I just wanted to share from conference I learned about from the Economic Development Association of Alberta about their new community investment readiness tool. It sounded like a really neat thing that could sort of share sort of the state of the community. I believe it's free and it's linked through their website. The other question I had was just that councillors have received questions about the rural renewal stream. And I know that we've discussed that years ago, and I was hoping for a little bit of a synopsis of, you know, when we assessed it.
Yeah. So I cannot recall the exact date, but it was a while back. From like our assessment, from what I understand, the application window with the province is closed, so Drumheller cannot apply to that program. When we assessed it at the time, we were in the middle of a housing crisis, if you will. So our vacancy rates for rental were 1% or less, and it's not a buyer's market by any stretch. We have 27 listings on MLS the last time I checked too. And so we thought that it would be best to focus our time and efforts on a housing strategy as opposed to trying to work to bring additional folks to town and not be able to house them. So that was our general assessment of the program. But I can get more detail for council if they would like to see it.
No, that's fine. I appreciate it.
Your worship, I'll add to this just a little bit, just because I did pop onto their website and look into it again. I as well thought it was closed for application, like Mr. Johnson, but it is open again for applications. The comment though is that it's a bit of a lottery system, because the way it works is the federal government only provides so many openings per province, and the applications that have been rolling in over the course of this starting, I believe it was back in 2022, it is extremely over applied for. There is thousands and thousands of thousands of applicants, and they add this extra step for municipalities who sign up to do this, to allow to kind of give a stamp of approval or to do a piece of that vetting work that normally the province does. So it kind of facilitates the process for new immigration applications to come in through this community. However, I'm also aware from my previous roles that the amount of applications and the amount of paperwork that this equates to is very significant. I'm aware of it taking up half of an economic development officer's time with the city of Cold Lake, for example, who has a population of about 15,000 people when they did decide to get on board with that. So it is a very significant paperwork, administrative heavy program to do for very for limited return. The amount of applications we could get could be extremely significant, but because of that limitation that the province gets on actual openings, it's about, I think the last number I saw on their website was around 1,000 or 1,200 for the whole province that they accept on a annual basis. So it's a good idea, but it's very intensive and takes a lot of resources.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a question. Okay, about these incentives that you were talking about there for the housing building incentives. Where would that be listed on the town's website?
Yeah, so go into do business, which is one of the top 4 links. And then it should be right under there for incentives, but I could be corrected. But it's 1 or 2 clicks away under do business. And then it would be the residential incentive program so we have a non-res as well as a residential incentive program. And yeah, we had some conversations with council about the review already this year, and not too long after that, we'll bring forward the applicants from last year.
Okay, thank you. And I had another one for the land deals that you've been seeing. Are we bringing in new people from outside, or are these people from within the valley here?
Sorry, majority of the land deals would be investment attraction. Yeah, there have been a couple of buyers that are already in town, but majority would be investment attraction.
Okay, good. Thanks for that. Thanks for the information. It's all a good deal there. Good work. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Council, Your Worship. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak on my portfolio here for human resources. My name is Evangelos Lambernudis, and I am the Manager of Human Resources for the town of Drumheller. So the chart you're looking at over here reflects our staffing levels over the quarters. And you can see here it's been fairly consistent throughout the year with some dips and spikes, which would just indicate sort of regular employment movement between positions. If you want me to read the numbers, we've got 104 here for active, full-time, part-time, and casual. 37 fire services volunteers, which has been consistent through the year. We had 2 employees return from leave from Q3, and we have 7 council. The next slide here shows basically our job postings. So we've had 4 postings within Q4 with 2 ongoing. So the ongoing being likely the ongoing that you've seen in previous quarters with the Aquaplex positions for casual lifeguard and water slide attendant. So that's an ongoing intake for the lifeguard program. And I have more to say on these 4 postings here. And the total postings we had in 2025 was 55. Within this quarter, we had 177 received applications and 855 total for the year. Our average time to fill, which is essentially from the start of when we post all the way to the sending the offer letter, it was 26 days, which is significantly lower from Q3. The explanation being there that the town of Drumheller now has a manager of human resources. So there is just some of these timelines have been tightened up in terms of our ability to respond to applicants and go through the interview process. As far as administrative and project updates go for Q4, so those 4 vacancies that we had, we hired an HR officer. We've also hired an executive assistant to the council and CAO. We hired the director of recreation and community services, Mr. Mike Sear, sitting over here. And we also hired an operator 2 for the utilities plant. The last bullet point here for labor relations relates to, it's an update from our previous quarter. We currently are in ongoing negotiations with the 2 unions. So we're currently in negotiations with local QP 4604, and we will begin negotiations with local 135 next week. Thank you, and if you have any questions. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lambrinidis. And no questions? Okay. Next.
Thank you, Your Worship. That wraps up our presentation for our Q4 report. And we are requesting council accepts it as information.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Campbell. May I have some, make a motion for that? Okay, Councillor McNeil.
Thank you. I move that council accepts as information the 2025 fourth quarter report from the Office of the CAO as presented.
Thank you. Can I second her? Councillor McNeil. All right, all in favor? Oh, any discussion? What?
Point of order. I believe it was Councillor Hanson who seconded the motion. I made the motion, so I can't second it.
All right, yeah, it's just boba. Councillor Miller made the seconded the motion. All right, so are we square now? Okay, all right. All in favor? Okay, all in favor, carried. Thank you. Thanks for sorting me out there. All right. Now we got our, let's see, next is 6.2, our Director of Emergency and Protective Services. Mr.
Thank you,
Peters.
Your Worship. My name is Greg Peters. I'm Protective Services Director for the town. I'm happy to have this Q4 report for 2025 for council to review, highlighting our statistics, activities, and our basic activities for that period. We take our work very serious, the fire chief, the municipal manager, and myself, as well as staff, and supporting both town staff, the public, sometimes with the novel approaches to get the job done, working with government agencies, working closely with Public Works, various initiatives and activities. Every day is different. We never know quite where we're going to go, but all our work is geared towards public safety, protection of the public, protection of animals, the maintenance of order, best as we can with the methods available to us, working with the police as well. Bring upon, if I could ask Trent Cure, the municipal manager, to come forth, please, and present the municipal enforcement statistics and activities. Thanks, Trent.
Oh, that's too far. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. As a formal introduction to you and any of the listening public tonight, my name is Trent Keir and I'm the town's manager of municipal enforcement. Tonight I will be providing you with a report on activities undertaken in Q4 of 2025, as well as giving you a brief snapshot on total statistics in 2025. My PowerPoint's a little bit messed up, but I got good speaker notes. We logged a grand total of 238 reportable occurrences in Q4. Every winter we receive high numbers of complaints about residents not maintaining sidewalks of snow and ice, and such matters accounted for 42% of all call volumes. That's the big chunk of the pie there. Just for brief reference, if residents don't clear sidewalks within 24 hours of a snowfall, we issue a notice, gives them another 24 hours. If they don't clear it, the town does that for them, and the expenses are assessed to the tax roll. Other general community standards, complaints, and animal control related calls each took up 12% of our total call volume. Traffic related matters accounted for 23% of all occurrences. These can be parking complaints, these can be complaints related to off-highway vehicles, or this can be a generic traffic stop for a driver talking on their cell phone. The other category covers investigations that are related to other laws we enforce. There's a lot of different legislation out there. Some of it we see more times than others. A few examples of the other category this quarter: assisting planning and development with enforcement of the land use bylaw, unlicensed businesses in the business license bylaw, but also other provincial statutes such as the Trespass to Premise Act or the Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act. These covered 7% of all call volume in Q4. The last 4% is general public concerns that aren't necessarily violations of law. Like Greg says, we like to be willing to assist in all different matters of public safety out in the community, and we never know what's going to happen, and it doesn't always fall neatly into a category. So that's what public concern is. We laid 33 charges this quarter and 1 summons. For those who don't know, a summons is a ticket that carries with it a mandatory court appearance. Usually those are more serious matters like driving without insurance. So before you here is a graph comparing 2024 occurrences to 2025 occurrences. As you can see, we had a huge jump in our work. We had 1,062 all occurrences in 2025 versus 741 in 2024. A few different factors. You can see heavy community standards enforcement. We did pass a new community standards bylaw that certainly helped. We did have more seasonal bylaw officers this year as well. But then I also need to give credit to the staff. We've welcomed some new staff members this year and have found them very eager and conscientious, and credit to the staff. As far as some of our other initiatives, we like to get out there and in the community. We distributed candy at the downtown Halloween event. And we also visited the Green Tree Elementary School and their hot chocolate drive-through. It's community policing. It's important to get out and have interactions and make connections in the community. Additionally, I attended a presentation by the Alberta Ombudsman. For those who don't know who the Ombudsman are, they're a provincially authorized body to ensure that investigations are being conducted properly. They'll investigate like Alberta Health Services, but also municipalities. So they basically relayed what an investigation looks like on their end and how to best cooperate with their investigations. It was all really good information, but I left quite unconcerned. We investigate thoroughly and we'll continue to do so. We also worked with our GIS department on plotting all the different animal-related signs in town. Lots of them are old and might not be as well known. So we'd like to initiate a future project with that, some type of replacement. But that hasn't been planned any further other than the inventory at this time. And then lastly, we took delivery of the completely upfitted new bylaw officer truck, Unit 669. The back seat's pretty cool. It's got a complete custom animal enclosure unit in it. It's waterproofed, so a stray dog can make as much of a mess as it wants. Just hose it out in there. It's got full amber light bars on the top, as well as flashers on the rear and front, and a mobile office. So an officer can pull GIS software or reports out in the field. This was part of the 2025 capital budget program. And that concludes my section of the report, and I'd be happy to answer any enforcement related questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Kier. Councillor Zarisky?
Yeah, good report, good job. I see you guys out there all the time driving around, which is nice to see. Just a couple of things. How much of your statistics have to do with parking? Any or all, or is that included in there, or?
So in general occurrences, there was a traffic bylaw and traffic safety act matters were 23% of all occurrences. We will be bringing a detailed report on paid parking before council in the near future here, where we will elaborate on the paid parking statistics for the year. We got a lot of different softwares and tracking mechanisms, so those are tracked a little differently.
And my second point, you talk about increase and changing some of the animal signage, which I think is wonderful. I mean, unfortunately, this time of year, if you walk the pathways around town, there's lots of animal waste all along all the pathway. Now, maybe it's coyotes. I don't know. I'm not a big expert on coyote versus dog, but it sure seems to be an awful lot. And I'm just wondering if, I mean, I work out at the BCF, for example, and I see people using the Centennial Park as a off leash dog run, and these people are not picking up after their animals. And so I'm just wondering, I would sure like to see more bags, deposit bins, and whatever we can do, because it's just absolutely disgusting. You walk these paths right now.
I just comment back through the chair to Councillor Zarisky. I will also add that our one bylaw officer, Caitlin, just loves to be involved in anything animal control, so I'll make sure she's on duty.
We're not going to there. All right. Any other questions here? Okay. Deputy Mayor Clausen. Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the report. Yeah, it's one of the points that you had made, that there's definitely an uptick in all occurrences. And you'd given some reasons with, more seasonal bylaw and as well as the new bylaw. But is there also an increase in complaints? And can you kind of outline the difference between, occurrences that are based on complaints and versus ones that you come upon on patrol? Is there a correlation, or?
So in the future, I could expand on that in different reports and occurrences, anything that goes in our reporting software. And I can narrow it down to if it came in, what method, whether it was phone, email, or whether it was a proactive initiative. We do a lot of proactive work, and I can certainly look to expand on that in future reports.
Thank you.
We're done. Thanks for that. Any other questions? No? Thanks for that there. Mr. Kier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just before the fire chief takes podium, health and safety, we had issues for a while regarding the site hazard assessment form. It might seem like an obscure, and we have many forms, but this one is very, very important for crews attending a new site, recognizing new hazards, new dangers, new other deficits that might be identified. We've been trying to use the same form for a long time. We've come up with two different forms now, one to be used by Public Works Infrastructure, which has the lion's share of the hazardous work, and another one for interior staff, such as recreation, which probably submits the second most site hazard forms to us, just the nature of what's going on at the BCF or internally regarding an event or a setup or things like that. But it's a never-ending thing. But we're trying to better serve staff by making more subjective forms for each. And we're going to monitor that for a year and see how that goes. Already we think it's positive in speaking with Public Works Manager and Jared and the committee meeting last week. We think it's a positive, but we'll keep at it for that. We had an audit completed, an internal audit completed under the provincial AMSA rules, and just this week, finally, our review by the authority has been sent back, and the auditors will be presenting this to the CAO and hopefully in coming days. Our latest health and safety audit, and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Any other questions on that? I do know those, your health and safety audit and forms, they do give you a lot of valuable information. Sometimes it seems ponderous for people when they're first getting used to it, but there is a lot of good information learned from those. So it's a valid thing to do and keep making it better. Right on. Okay, who's next?
I call upon the fire chief. Chief Rosario, please tell us your story.
Council Worship, thank you for having me. My name is Darian Rosario. I'm your friendly neighborhood fire chief. Oops, got a little ahead of myself. So in Q4, we responded to a total of 66 incidents. As we look across our incident volumes over this year and the previous year, you're going to hear me repeat the same numbers. There's a lot of symmetry in the kind of responses we are doing. So 49% of all those incidents that we are responding to in Q4 and throughout the year actually runs out to be into false alarms. Beyond that, 12% is vehicle accidents. The other 12% is medical calls. And out of the rest of that, that other 27% is the other calls. If I put them all on the charts and graphs, I would actually make it completely unreadable. So these are smoke investigations, these are fires, these are vehicle fires, structure fires, outside fires, down power lines, rescue events, miscellaneous, a whole bunch of stuff. The stuff we do 3 to 5 times per quarter, not in a large volume. So again, here we are when we compare 2024 to 2025, very, very similar numbers again. We did 316 calls for service this year. We did 335 the year before. And again, we're right in that number of 49, 50% for alarms, 11, 12% for vehicle accidents, 12% medical, kind of holding right in there. And again, same number, 27% between both years for those other group of calls. So this year, with the new fire bylaws, this is the first year we have been actually invoicing for call response and monitored alarm response. So billable fire services this year, we budgeted $52,000. We actually took in $95,000. Now, a couple of big pieces of that overage was one, we had a large structure fire where that billing accounts for about 25% of that overage, or 25% of the total. And then we had one habitual commercial property that's about 10% of that entire amount of billing. So you take those two out, we're actually pretty close to that estimated budgeted number. Oops. Training. In Q4, the team trained a total of 680 hours. That's every member of the staff taking part in the training. And that makes up to an impressive 2,237 hours in 2025. This is a little bit higher than 2024 with 1,926 hours. The extra 300 hours come from pretty much the NFPA 1001 professional accreditation for firefighters. That was a big lift for 8 of our firefighters to be able to take all that training, and that's where the bulk of those extra hours come from. Community engagement. So in Q4, we were happy to welcome 3 children's groups for tours through the fire hall. We did 1 seniors facility. We did an outreach there for fire prevention activities. And also through Fire Prevention Week, we had our open house during that time. We welcomed 400 guests from our community into the fire hall. This year was all about charging to fire safety. So we were talking about lithium ion batteries, their storage and working with them and how to recharge them and work with them in a safe manner. We also in December on a very cold and bitter day, we partnered with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and we did Cram the Cruiser at Canadian Tire. We were able to cram 1 full cruiser full of toys and non-perishable food, and that was a great hit. And then between December 19th and 22nd, the fire department helped Santa Claus go around the community, and we also, at that point, they raised $1,323 and 400 pounds of non-perishable food, and that all went to the food bank. So a couple of things I'm doing on a provincial level. I'm very happy to report. I'm part of what's called the Core Competency Group, and it is a community risk assessment tool that we have developed along with the AFC, through the Alberta Fire Chiefs Association. And basically, we can take and we can plug in all our demographics for our community, be it we have a river in it, our roads, if we have rail, and then it'll come out and it'll tell us what hazards we have, and it'll actually show us what training we should actually give to our first responders. And that is a tool that can be used anywhere across for any community in the province. It is primarily targeted at communities under 20,000. The other thing I am actually very happy to be working with is Wildland Urban Interface training. I'm working with the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. I'm on a panel with them through the Alberta Fire Chiefs Association. And what we're doing is basically in the province, there are 7 wildland training programs that are used throughout the fire services. And 9 sets of books for reference materials and training materials. We are actually all working together to collapse all that material into 1 training course and 1 reference material. So it's actually a pretty good lift, but it's actually a really good and exciting project. And I think that's it for me. Any questions?
Right on. Any questions there? Councillor Zarisky?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation.
You bet.
Good stuff as usual. I just have a couple of comments. First of all, what is a false alarm? Like what constitutes a typical false alarm?
So a false alarm is a call, an alarm for service, and we will respond with our apparatus. And a false alarm, basically, it kind of lumps into a couple things. It'll either be a equipment fault or it'll be a human fault. That equipment fault is a bad detector that has gone off or something has happened. The human fault would be taking a shower and not turning on the fan. Steam from the shower will set the detector off, or a cooking incident where somebody gets a little carried away with their bacon and sets off the alarm. Those constitute false alarms.
Okay, I guess first of all, I would argue that if something sets off a fire alarm, it's not a false alarm. It set off the fire alarm. So it's something that happened, that it's not a false alarm. My second, what I'm getting at is I chair the Seniors Foundation, of course, and we have a fair number of false alarms that seem to happen. And the foundation gets charged for these, obviously. And it's a bit frustrating in that, you know, I mean, the lodges have staffing 24/7. There's people there every minute of every day that look at this stuff and respond, kind of immediately if there's anything like that. And I know we're just kind of wondering why the fire department has to be involved in some of these where we have people, on site that could take care of this without, involving all of the fire department. And it's just what's happening is it's a lot of money that they're spending on. You guys shouldn't be involved, don't need to be involved. Um, anyways, just
So to kind of, why are we going as a fire department to these calls? So monitored alarms, what they do is they go through a monitoring center, and that monitoring center will then initiate a call to 911. By Underwriters Laboratory, through the specification for a monitored alarm system, it must go through a dispatch center to 911. 911 call, we get that 911 call, and then we have a duty of care where we have to respond. We can't ignore that call.
Deputy Mayor Palaffa.
Just like you had mentioned that this is the first year with that bylaw where some of these are billable services. Have we seen either a change in behavior or people taking more care of their equipment that has been problematic?
So I did mention one habitual commercial property. They have taken significant steps to repair and rejuvenate their system. And since that point where they have done that, we have not had to respond to that property.
But in an overall community-wide, have we? It shows that it's dropped a little bit, but it sort of also is in line with the total calls.
It is. Systems are still being sold and installed by providers. When we do go out, we are giving out a pamphlet when we do that response. So that actually gives those people some mitigation strategies, like suggesting turning on the fan when they're taking the shower, making sure they turn on that vent fan over their kitchen to help move that smoke out of the property. So we are trying to help them down the road of giving them safe practices.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add something. People have a choice if they want to add a step into a hardwired alarm that automatically goes to a monitoring company and then calls, as true with the chief mentioned, duty of care, calls 911. People can have a step such as the RCMP is instituted with their intrusion alarms where they want the owner to verify. I agree, but I don't necessarily agree with the hazards and the dangers of that. But an alarm will go off and the owner will have to verify a broken window or something going on that leads to think there's criminal activity and it's possible intrusion or nefarious activity going on. That's an option. It can be verified by a human before emergency services are called. But we would all feel really bad I can't imagine how long, if something was missed, and I know the chief for one certainly would, if something was missed and the fire department did not attend a fire that had been missed, drawing attention to the seniors, we all would feel, I don't have the words for it, if something was missed and people's lives were at peril as a result of that. So it's not neat and tidy, but we have seen changes and we have worked considerably with the one commercial outlet that initially was obstreperous and didn't want to, couldn't see anything going on, and with many phone calls and talking and urging and probably beyond what but I mean, it had to be done to try to get people on our side that, look, you're going to have these alarms going off if you don't either change the system and service the system or employ the middle step where you have a staff member verify, which is fraught with its own hazards and dangers, verify if there's indeed a fire or not, and then call emergency services. So I understand it's just unpleasant for some people, but to offer the care of service that we certainly want to people that need it, I don't know what else to say, really. Thank you, Chief. Thanks.
If I can maybe add a couple of things to that as well. The bylaw is applied universally to all. There's no carve outs for anyone or any community group or business or resident. It's applied universally. The second thing that I can say that alarms are a very, very good thing. And having them in there, and if they're properly maintained and people take the best mitigation strategies they can with them, they're a very positive thing. In the last 6 months, we have had 3 monitored alarms that have come in and they have converted to structure fires.
I have a little something there. Now, when an alarm goes off, can the homeowner not call in and say this is it's a false alarm?
The monitoring company with the homeowner should be contacting them. They should be making that call back to the number provided by the homeowner, by the person of care with the property. That necessarily does not always happen, and that is kind of an epidemic across monitoring companies. It doesn't matter what it is, but that can be also. I can dig statistics, or because right now I'm just being anecdotal, which I don't prefer to do, but not necessarily is the loop being completed from the alarm monitoring company.
Yeah, because that's what I remember having alarms, and they were if you set it off by accident, you called in and you let them know that it was a false alarm, and they would cancel the fire service, or they would cancel with their provider, and the provider would cancel with the 911 personnel.
And we do on occasion, occasionally. Again, I'll have to dig that statistic for you, but we do get stood down en route. So, a number of times throughout the year because that homeowner has called in or they have reached the homeowner and they have updated that it is a cooking incident or some other issue has happened.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of it, especially for the seniors there. I also have another thing here. So this, your NFPA, the 101, 1001, that training is like a professional firefighter. Is that not correct?
That is correct. That is the exact same training that you are going to find with firefighters in the city of Calgary, city of Red Deer, or anywhere in any other service. It is a really significant achievement for those firefighters to do it. It takes about a good 200-hour commitment from that firefighter to be able to achieve that. And yeah.
Yes, I understand. That is a lot. That is a big milestone for us, and we have some very well trained firefighters here in town, and we should be thankful for that. One of the other things that I was looking at here, and you were talking about having, was the preparation and everything for our area specifically. How about the high angle rescue, since we have the hills and we have holes in the hills and stuff?
You bet. We do low slope. We do not do quite high angle. The definition would be low slope, and this is where we would go assist people out at the hoodoos and so on, using rope work to assist them up and down the hoodoos if they get off trail and find themselves in a bind. We are also a contract service provider to Nehill County, so we also do go to Horseshoe Canyon for that same issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all that information, and thank you guys for
Thank you.
being who they are. Okay, who else? Who's next? Mr. Brown. We don't have to do that yet, do we? I think we're
Sorry,
done.
Director Peters, did you want to comment just quickly on the emergency management section?
Thank you. Yes, a very small thing, but council had the benefit of meeting the field officer. It's not in the Q4, but for the elected officials training early in January. We held a ICS, which is Incident Command System, 200 level course in Q4. That's for staff. It's the second level in the training offered, and it's just a small note. We try to train as many people as we can, as many people familiar with, if indeed we have a disaster emergency, public issue of great magnitude, that we have some awareness of the system and how staff are apportioned a job or sent whatever. So that's all we're trying to do, get as many people trained as is possible. As I said, council met the field officer in early January with the elected officials course, and this is just a different course, but all in the same vein of emergency management. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Councilor Zarisky.
Yeah, I'd just like to commend council on everyone on council passed the course with flying colors.
Thank you, Counselor Zaritsky. Okay, can I get a motion that we accept this? Counselor Miller?
I move that council accepts as information the 2025 fourth quarter report from the Emergency and Protective Services Department as presented.
Thank you, Counselor Miller. Can I get a seconder? Counselor Hanson? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. All right, and then we're on to our infrastructure services, our 6.3 Director of Infrastructure Services. Mr. Brunson?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a request for decision in regards to the water treatment ultraviolet replacement project. In September 2024, Council approved the purchase of 2 Trojan UV reactors at a cost of $570,000. These reactors were to replace the aging Calgon reactors that have become increasingly difficult to maintain due to the long lead time for replacement parts. The Trojan UV reactors arrived as scheduled on September 28th. Unfortunately, during the unloading process, one of the control panels was mishandled and damaged. This resulted in the delay of the project and additional repair costs. The panel has been returned to Trojan for repair and is currently in the process of being refurbished with an anticipated completion date of March-April 2026. Therefore, to complete the project and satisfy all permit obligations, a budget increase is being requested. Administration is requesting an additional $150,000, which includes the cost of the panel replacement, as well as additional scope items that were not identified during the initial design phase. These items include the installation of cooling loops on both reactors to mitigate overheating and to ensure reliable system performance, and system programming to integrate the systems into our SCADA system to allow for oversight of the new equipment. So those two things are roughly costing an additional $50,000, and we're asking for a $100,000 request for the panel. This budget adjustment will ensure the project is completed to satisfaction, remains compliant with regulatory requirements, and supports long-term operational reliability. There are 2 options before council tonight. That council approves the additional unbudgeted expense of $150,000 to fund the water treatment plant UV reactor replacement program, and that be funded from the 2026 water reserves. And the second option is that council requests further information from administration on the water treatment plant UV reactor replacement project to be presented at the February 17th, 2026 meeting.
Can I get someone to make a motion? Counselor Zaritsky?
I move that council approves an additional unbudgeted expense of $150,000 to fund the water treatment plant UV reactor replacement project, and that it be funded from the 2026 water reserve for a total project cost of $1,050,000.
Thank you, Counselor Zaritsky. Can I get a seconder? Counselor Hardy? Any discussion on this? Any questions more? Counselor Zaritsky?
So in the transfer process, the delivery, is there any insurance that kind of covers that kind of stuff, or no?
Through the chair to Councilor Zareski, I'm actually going to let Mr. Peters answer that question, who's been looking into the insurance side of that.
Yes, not much more to add, Mr. Zarisky, except that we're working through it with their claims, supplying what information we can. These items were not expressly listed on our schedule of items that are insured by our, as they were new, and is necessarily the kind of thing that we would, put on it. But we're not dead in the water on it, for lack of a better term, and I'm working through it, supplying with information. And project manager and the director have been very helpful in helping me dig things up and supply. And I'm trying to do as much as I can so they have nowhere to go. So we hopefully will get something out of it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councillor McNeil?
Yes, I was just thinking as well because it sounds like it's a replacement of that panel from the report. So, with the other panel, is there anything that can be salvaged from that that could be sold back to the manufacturer so it's not a complete loss?
Through the chair to Councilor McNeil, we are still working with Trojan on total costs. The $100,000 is the extreme end. So should they not be able to reuse any of the materials or any of the componentry within the cabinet that was damaged, that's what that cost will be. We haven't got a definitive answer from them in regards to finalized costs. So it could be less than the $100,000. We could be looking at $75,000, $80,000. It's all dependent on the amount of components they can reuse.
Thank you. So you're saying if it's less than that, that'll come off of the ask here, right?
Your worship, the ask will remain. Should we not spend the money, the budget will be then returned back to the reserves.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions? No other questions? Where? Oh, Mike Hanson. Councillor Hanson.
I was just wondering, the bid, was that the lowest tender?
Through the chair to Councillor Hanson, there are only 2 suppliers in North America for UV reactors, and Trojan was chosen because it is a Canadian supplier. So it was providing us a Canadian opportunity to make sure that when we do need replacement parts, we're not looking to the States or overseas to have replacement pieces. We actually get them out of Montreal.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor McNeil.
Yeah, I just had one other question. I recognize that errors or mistakes can happen, but I guess I just would like to learn, has there been essentially a review and an investigation of what happened so that there's a lessons learned from this incident so it doesn't happen again?
Through the chair to the councilor, yes, a review has been completed. Yes, the incident has been addressed. If council wants further detail in regards to that, unfortunately, that has to be done in camera because of the confidentiality of the staff involved. But yes, the incident was reviewed and corrective actions have been made.
Thank you.
Councillor Hardy.
This happened in September, correct? This was before our budget. So knowing that there was going to be some extra expense that's going to be occurred, would it not be commonplace to say, hey, this happened? Can you expect to spend some more money when it gets repaired?
Through the chair to Councillor Hardy, we weren't aware of the expenses until about 3 months ago. So it was borderline when you guys were having budget discussions.
Any further questions? I don't see any more. Okay, go to a vote. All in favor? Okay, vote's carried. All right, and onward.
Thank you, Worship. Again, a request for decision before council. This is regards to the makeup air handling units for the water treatment plant, and this is an additional information request of council from January 20th, 2026. We've reviewed the program and the project, and we've identified some additional project challenges and the need for further clarification and alternative approaches. Due to the complexity of this project, administration is actually recommending canceling the current 2020 scope of the project in order to complete a comprehensive assessment of all 4 air makeup handling units at the water treatment plant. The complication is the fact that all 4 of these units are actually suspended above the sedimentation tanks and should be reviewed as a whole instead of independently. Those 4 units are vintage to the water treatment plant, so they were installed in 1984. We have replaced one of the air handling units that is currently suspended above what we call our distribution pipe gallery. And further to council, request for further information, we did get an estimated cost back to go from a like for like or an exterior installation, and it was about a $90,000 savings to go to an interior installation. But however, we are still recommending that those 4 units be put outside. There is both an Appendix A and an Appendix B to this report. Appendix A went into further detail in regards to how this program came to fruition, how it's been deferred since 2020, and has been an ongoing capital program, and has changed numerous of times over that 6 years. With the current cost to even hang those units inside, this will be approximately a $1.7 to $1.76 million capital program once we're done. If you look at Appendix B, you can see the location of the 4 units being suspended over the sedimentation tank, which makes them more of a challenge to service should they be installed on the outside of the building. So there are a couple options before council tonight. The council accepts the Makeup Hairlining News additional information report as information and directs administration to cancel the current Makeup Air Handling Unit project and proceed with a comprehensive assessment of all 4 units located above the sedimentation tank. Option 2, the council approves the additional expense of $186,000 from the 2026 Water Reserve and award the RFT to Asworth in the amount of $329,697 as presented to council on January 20th. And option 3, the council requests further information from administration on the Makeup Air Handling Units project as presented at the regular council meeting, or will be presented at the regular council meeting on March 3rd, 2026.
Okay, can I get a motion from somebody? Councillor McNeil?
I'll make that motion. The council accepts the Makeup Air Handling Unit's additional information request as information and directs administration to cancel the Makeup Air Handling Unit project and proceed with a comprehensive assessment of the 4 units located above the sedimentation tank in the water treatment plant.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Can I get a seconder? Deputy Mayor Kalapa. Any questions on this? Councillor Zarisky?
Yeah, so the water treatment plant, as you said, I think in 1984, and these are original units, except for the one that was replaced. I guess I'm looking at, are there other things in the water treatment plant that we should be looking at? You know, to me, this is like an old car, and you're fixing some parts of the old car, but you're not fixing all of the parts. So is there anything that could be, you know, kind of incorporated into a bigger project that we could do these and this at the same time, because this other thing needs to be done and or will be done 1 year from now or 2 years from now? And you know what I mean? We're doing it piecemeal, and maybe there's a bigger picture.
Through the chair to Councillor Zarisky, as you recall, in the budget deliberations, there is a water treatment master plan being proposed. That master plan will identify those key projects to move the water treatment plant forward. When you're talking about rehabilitation of a 1984 plant, you are correct. We are spending a lot of money to try to repair things that should have been repaired over time and not wait until end of life. These units unfortunately need to be replaced. They are critical components to that system. If we chose to delay it any further beyond what we're recommending, we could have other problems with our building, its envelope itself. We start to see condensation becoming a problem in that building. We start rusting things out. From your question of what other projects could be combined within this, I honestly don't have an answer for you. HVAC is kind of a standalone system. When we start looking at our distribution system and our treatment system, it's a completely different animal, different contractors, and a heck of a lot different costs.
Councillor McNeil?
I just have another question. I just wanted to confirm then, for this comprehensive assessment of these air intake units, will this all be done in-house and no additional cost to our budget?
Through the chair to Councilor McNeil, unfortunately, there will be a cost. However, it will be a cost that's already been identified as part of the air makeup handling unit budget. So there is an existing fund already there. We'll use that to complete our assessment and come up with a replacement plan. So there will be no additional cost. The budget is already there within the 2026 capital program.
Any further questions? Are they good? Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we have definitely experienced a number of concerns when it comes to our water plant and our wastewater treatment plant and our overall infrastructure envelope and the systems throughout our community. And I think everybody is well aware that our system is aging out significantly, and we have quite a number of patches along the way. At this time, when administration brought forward the master plan approach, it was to take a look at the entire system from an infrastructure standpoint. But we are also, especially given some of the developments here recently on the water side, we will be bringing forward another report to council here shortly to consider additional work on doing a bit more analysis from our operational side of what an operational audit per se of what has been a snapshot of what our operations are and how it's been performing and how are we able to make it better, any costs associated with that. Again, we're trying to use Councilor Zarisky's comparison. We have an old car and we're trying to make it run and not have a bunch of smoke coming out the back. So we're, in addition to this council's need and want to actually address these issues in a proactive manner, we are definitely going to do our best to provide that information to council in very short order through these initiatives. So we will have another report coming to council here within the next few weeks with regards to this additional idea of doing an operational audit. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think our council realizes that we need to spend money. We just need to spend the right money, and we don't want to spend the money over and over again. We want to make sure we get things in the right spot. So, Councilor Zaritsky.
Yeah, just one further comment. I know we are planning a tour for council sometime. I think this would be very appropriate to kind of see what's going on there.
Thank you for that. All right, if we're done with our questions, we'll take our vote here. All in favor? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay. All right, that's done for that. Now where are we at? We're at 6.33, our FCM grant for our urban forestry. Who's going to bring that? Okay. Okay, Mr. Brownson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, a request for a decision before council in regards to an SCM grant application for an urban forest plan. Administration wishes to apply for a Federation of Canadian Municipalities Urban Forest Plans and Strategies grant program. This grant program provides up to 90% of eligible project costs to support municipal initiatives that strengthen the planning, management, and long-term sustainability of urban forests. The proposed project will develop a comprehensive urban forest plan, including a tree inventory, a planting strategy, to improve environmental resilience and support future canopy growth. A council resolution is required to accompany the application submission. Therefore, administration is presenting the opportunity to council today for consideration at an estimated cost of $10,000 to a maximum of $25,000 to the municipality. This grant was actually brought to us via a third party and has helped us write this grant application. Should we be successful, we will be requesting up to $25,000 depending on how the procurement process goes. This urban forest plan will supplement the forest plan that was already done as part of the flood program. There were some key holes identified in that program that this program or this plan will now provide to the community as well as administration. Some of the holes was a tree inventory. The original one done by the flood program was more looking at where we can place the umpteen thousands of trees that we could put in the community. This is actually going and providing asset management for our trees and looking at it from an urban forest plan and a canopy density vision. So I'm actually excited about this one. I think this should be quite an interesting plan once it's done and provide guidance to council for the next 20 years on where we're going to put trees and what trees we're going to replace when and how to make sure that the urban forest is maintained. There are three options before council tonight. That council approves an application to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Growing Canada's Community Canopies Grant Program to complete an urban forest plan project for the town of Drumheller. Option 2, the council directs administration to pursue alternative funding sources or phased funding strategies for future municipal urban forest planning initiatives, or that council accepts the FCM grant application for an urban forest plan as information.
Thank you, Mr. Brownstein. Can I get a motion? Councillor Miller?
I move that council approves an application to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Growing Canada's Community Canopies Grant Program to complete an urban forest plan project for the town of Drumheller.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Can I get a seconder? Councillor McNeil? Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Zaritsky?
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little bit confused. So is this just going to be looking at town of Drumheller land and property? Or would this be, possibly accessible to other community associations, groups, properties? Or is this just for town of Drumheller property? So this is the town of Drumheller properties. This is going to be what we're going to plant on town of Drumheller property. Or is this bigger than that?
Through the chair, Councillor Ozerski, this would just be trees that are owned by the town of Drumheller. So any trees within our roads, with any trees within our parks, any trees that fall within our property. We have no control over private property, so it's hard to provide that direction to private property owners. Where this would be beneficial would be within the road right of way, and where we could look at increasing our canopy within the road right of way.
Thank you. Councillor McNeil?
Just related to that question then, the natural trees, or what I refer to then as wildland trees that grow along the river or out in the hills, even say if, for instance, that's town of Drumheller property, is that included in the inventory?
We will try to include as much as we can. Some of the trees within the riparian area may be inventoried, but they may be finding that they're not worth the inventory needs. We'll see how that goes. We're trying to focus more on our urban trees, so anything's within parks and roads, but I will have a conversation in regards to that that riparian area canopy.
Councillor Miller?
Do you know what the timeline might be looking like for this, when we would get the result back?
Should we be successful in the grant? Oh, sorry, through the chair to Councillor Miller. Should we be successful in the grant program? We're anticipating completion this year, so end of 2026.
Thank you. I was just thinking that with the riparian stuff and the stuff that's along the river, that would that not be have already been done through the flood program? Because the flood program did do that, those kind of areas that would have been within.
Your worship, I'm not sure if those have been inventoried by the flood program or they just looked at the amount of trees they were removing as part of the flood program. So those trees that are remaining within the flood or within the riparian area may not have been identified, but that is a question I can ask the flood office.
Yeah, that might be good to have defined before you get started on that. It sounds like a great program. I'm just looking at the other one. What was the money to be used for, the 10 to 25 that was requested there? Would that have been for an actual action, an actionable item from this, from the forest, from recommendations, or would that just be to help offset the cost?
So, your worship, that would be the town's contribution to the cost. So it's only 90% funding through SCM. So to a maximum of $175,000. So that $10,000 would be our 10% contribution, should be a $100,000 review. And if it goes up from there, then we would go up to that $25,000. So the $100,000 is the estimate that we've been provided to complete this work. However, we do need to go out for procurement in order to make this project happen. So there may be some fluctuation in that $100,000 as high as 120.
Okay, so then with that said, would this, we've approved an application to go after this, but if we needed money, would they have to come back to this, or should we be including a cost with this?
So, your worship, there are two motions before council tonight. So motion 2 will provide that funding envelope direction from council. So you need to vote on motion 1, and then you can bring motion 2 to the floor, and that's the funding aspect.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that, make sure it was clear to everybody. All right, so we got our Councillor Miller.
Another thing I was wondering about when I was reading over this was, council allocated $100,000 for tree planting in 2026 through our other Tree Canada grant program. So just a concern that I had was, if we were to plant 100,000, or it would be $200,000 worth of trees this year, and have our this urban forest plan come in and have different recommendations than what we ended up planting this year, that wouldn't be a very good look. So I was just wondering, like, do you know when we might hear back with regards to whether we have received this grant that we're talking about right now?
And the grant application closes, I believe, in April 15th. I'm not sure on FCM's response timelines. Sometimes they're fairly quick, sometimes they can drag their heels. So if we get grant response within a month of that closing date, we might be able to get some information in play before we go out and spend $100,000 on planting trees. The $100,000 that we're looking to spend on tree planting as part of the budget, I've asked that staff actually try to replace what we've already removed. So I'm hoping that those can now be inventoried as part of this program and used as part of their canopy evaluation. So it will not be throwing good money after bad. The trees will still be necessitated because of the fact that they are replacing trees we've already removed.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so we got some information there, some good information. We ready to vote on this now then? All right, so take our vote. All in favor? Okay, all in favor? Carried. All right, now can I get someone to make that second motion? Okay, Deputy Mayor Kalapa.
I move the council commits 10% of the total cost of the urban forest plan project to a maximum of $25,000 to be funded from the 2026 operating budget.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder? Councillor Miller. Thank you. All right, any discussion, any further discussion on this? I think we've had some pretty good answers here now. We're all good? Oh, Councillor McNeil.
Just one other comment. I noticed the community engagement piece is included in this forestry management plan. So I'm quite excited about that because I would really like to see that there's more ownership taken of our trees and that people are educated in terms of the different species. That could also support them in their own homes or in their own yards, I should say. I'm also just thinking, I think it's a great opportunity to involve the youth because I have noted some trees that have been damaged, some of the newly planted trees down by the high school, for instance. And I just think that it would be great to be able to help involve the youth in a program such as this.
You want to get them for tree planters? All right. Any other questions here? No, no further questions. Okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor? Okay, looks like it carried. Okay, thank you for that. And is that it for you? Thank you, Mr. Brownstein. All right, so now where do we got? Correspondence. Correspondence from our performing arts.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship. Administration has 2 items of correspondence to bring forward to our meeting today. Our first one is a donation request from the Drumheller Performing Arts Festival. As per our procedural bylaw, we do bring these requests to council when there is a financial component to the requests. So they are looking for a sponsorship of their annual festival that's happening March 2nd to 11th, and with a final concert on March 15th. So we have directed the association to proceed and process their request through the Community Assistance Grant Program. Their ask currently, I understand, is kind of open-ended. Let me just double check that. So their total cost for running the festival is approximately $15,000. So they are looking for support in general without a specific amount. So given that our community assistance grant does have a cap at $5,000, we felt that it would be a good fit for their request. So administration is just requesting that council accept this as information.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. Can I get someone, Deputy Mayor Kalapa?
I move the council accepts the presented council correspondence from the Drumheller Performing Arts Festival as information.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Harvey? Hardy, sorry. And any discussion on this? No. Oh, Councillor Zarisky.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the new people that are getting the Performing Arts Festival going again. I mean, for 100 years, Drumheller's had what was called a music festival. And then the last few years, it just kind of fell by the wayside. And we have some new volunteers who are organizing it and getting it together. So good on them, and hopefully we can support them.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay. Anybody else? Councillor McNeil.
Yes, I just would like to comment that just given the size of this festival, and I'm also, like Councillor Zarisky has noted, I'm really pleased to see that it's returned. I would like to consider that we make a sponsorship in the amount of $500 because I think it is a worthwhile venture for our town.
Anyone else?
Question?
What's that?
Just for clarity, Councillor McNeil, are you looking to make a motion today to make that donation? Or are you just providing a suggestion that when we reiterate to the group requesting that they request a $500 sponsorship?
Thank you for that. I wasn't absolutely clear on this, and so I just wanted to put it out there for council. I'd like to hear from the rest of council what they think in relation to this. But yes, I think since we have some monies allocated in our budget to support these types of initiatives, I think that just given the timeline, it's coming up very soon. So I would like to be able to make that decision today.
I think, well, I don't know. Didn't I hear the ask was for 5,000?
Mr. Chair, their entire budget for holding the event is 15,000. Our community assistance grant is for requests, financial requests up to a value of 5,000. So it's open for them to decide how much to request up to a $5,000 amount through the grant program. I do also want to just double check with our finance manager if this is a motion of council here today. Is there a in our 26 budget where this would fall in our 26 budget, as we don't necessarily have anything specific allocated for this. We do have our grant program budget, however, this would be outside of that.
Thank you.
Yes, through the
Mr. Tell?
chair.
Yep.
If council were to make a motion and on this or anything, and approve these funds being expensed, since it wasn't budgeted, it's something that we would identify through an upcoming quarterly variance report. So it would be charged to the appropriate account, since it's not a community assistance grants program and council funding. You know, we would just make it very clear that by doing so, we're exceeding what there's not exceeding, but it's just something that wasn't budgeted for. We'd report it, and then it'd become part of our overall financial position as we report financially throughout the year, and then we could make decisions based on what our overall position is going to be on. Do we need to do something about this? If it's a large amount, then maybe we bring in reserve money to deal with it or something like that. If it could be handled within our current surplus or deficit position, then it's just something that's reported and identified and noted. So it's probably an unsatisfying answer, because situations like this happen when an unbudgeted item is identified, brought forward, and dealt with, and it just becomes part of a variance on a future financial report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Town. Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
I feel we have the community assistance program here. It's a mechanism for that. I don't believe an application would be too long. It wouldn't take them very long in making that application to get it. I think we should just use the mechanism that we have at this point.
Thank you, Councillor Kalafa. Councillor McNeil.
Yes, I agree with you, Councillor Kalafa. And now I understand better about this process, because yeah, it's kind of confusing, and I knew we had this allocation, but we need the actual application from the organization before we can proceed. So thanks for that clarity.
Okay. So we're all good now? No more questions? Okay. All right. Do we have I lost it. Have I got yeah, okay, so we do, all right. All in favor. All right. Okay. All right, all in favor, carried. Thank you. That was a long dance. All right, the Hand Hills Lake Club request.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is our second donation request for council's information today. The Handhills Lake Club is hosting a Valentine's dinner and dance gala on the 14th, and they are requesting a donation for use as a silent auction item to help fundraise for their new gym furnace. So administration has encouraged the club to apply for in-kind support through our community assistant grant program, as there is currently room in our budget for that this year. We did suggest as well that recreation passes, for example, valid at either the BCF or the Aquaplex, were be a suitable donation request. At this point, council, we are just requesting an acceptance of this correspondence from the club as information.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Gamble. Can I get someone make a motion? Councillor Miller?
I move that council accepts the presented council correspondence from the Handhills Lake Club as information.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Can I get a seconder? Councillor McNeil? Thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay, I don't see anything, so we'll have a vote. All in favor? All in favor, carried. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so now we're on to number 8, closed session, our 8.1, lease management, procurement, discussion, and development activity. Can I get a motion for closing the meeting? Councilor Zaritsky?
Yeah, I move that council closes the meeting to the public at 6:31 p.m. to discuss lease management, procurement discussion, and development activity as per ATIA 19. Disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party. ATIA 26, disclosure harmful to intergovernmental relations. And ATIA 29, advice from officials.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hardy. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Zaritsky, sorry, and then Councilor Hardy for the seconder. Okay, and all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay,